Hello, beautiful morning to you and welcome to another edition of the Weekend Show. I am David Opokwasile.
And my name is Oluchi Carlo Emeka. I want to really thank you for being patient with us. Every Saturday, you just wait to have this cup of tea and breakfast with us. It's not easy, but we want to thank you. We keep appreciating you because you're the reason we're here.
Yes, and this morning we'll be looking at a very important issue. We're at a time where it seems as if everything in the society is going haywire. People choose what they want to do even without considering others. Crime rates are increasing, drug trafficking and drug use. People are getting depressed out from maybe activities they have engaged themselves in the past or even now. And then also other people are hurting others without considering the effect that action will take on the general society. So this morning we want to see how we can ensure social cohesion through making sure that we have a better society but a stronger family value.
All right, so let me break that down. You know, sometimes David can be the mood of big. All right, so all we're actually looking at is family values. How can we, from the grassroots, from the family, ensure that the end product we're unleashing into the society will contribute positively to the society? Because most times now we see parents buy laptop for their children, take them to Yahoo Boys and say, "Koje more." We've seen them all. We've seen people who will send their children abroad for what they purely know is prostitution. We've seen people, in fact, I have seen women who would take their daughters by the hand and take them to an old man and say, "Just be giving us small something on her head." So we see a lot of things that you keep wondering. And the worst part now is that it's no longer a society where you can say, "Nwa bu nwa," that's the child is a child of the entire society, where you can see somebody going wrong and correct them. Now, are you okay? If you correct them, you see their parents. And you tell their parents whether the child look like your family.
Even in this past week, somewhere in Delta State, a teacher caned a child for disobeying, and the parent went there to cane.
It happens a lot.
In the process, the teacher died.
Oh my God, that's something I don't want to start myself today with. All right, so to do justice to our topic today, we brought a family counselor. You can call him a marriage counselor too, a clergyman. So you will see that speaking from the family value aspect, he's apt. And talking about societal, he has seen it all. So we're talking about Pastor Kelechi Opoti. Pastor, you're welcome to the Weekend Show.
Thank you, Oluchi. Thank you, David, for having me here.
So we're talking about family value. Personally, I and a lot of people would like to believe that we don't really have a family. I just feel like the level of moral decadence is quite alarming. But the question is, now coming from the aspect of the church, because we believe that it's mostly in church that people wear their good manners.
Yes, exactly.
All the good people. You know, like inside every person, there is a mad person and there is a person that is insane. It's in church that we see the same parts. So I would like to know, from the angle of you who, as a family counselor, you see these things, do we still have families that have value? I'm talking about young, growing families, or not the family of
generation,
no, not the family of the older generation. I'm talking about these families that will say they are the ones that are still harboring the products that they are still about to bring out to the society. Do we still have family values?
Sure, we do. We still have. You know, though so many families have deviated, but we still have families that are committed to positive values and values that foster peace, honesty, and harmony. So they still exist in our society. I know that there's so much decadence, just like you said, in the family circles and system of our nation today. But at the same time, there are still some young people who were well groomed, maybe by their parents or grandparents or other people, mentors, who are committed to having positive values. So we still have. Thank you.
So, sorry, David. Sorry.
Go
I want
on.
to really ask a follow-up question. Whose duty is it? Is it the father? Like if you in a family where they lack a quality family value, who is to be blamed? Is it the father or the mother? That's the husband or the wife or the grandparents? Because sometimes it's as if when people are looking into the family, they exclude the people who brought up the couple. So I want to know, who is to be blamed for lack of quality family values in most upcoming family? Let me say upcoming family. Is it the wife or the husband or the parents of the couple? Who is to be blamed if things are going wrong there?
Well, parenting is not just for the woman or the man, it's for both of them. No matter how good the father is, you still know, or how committed he is at training a child. The influence and the contribution of the mother is still very important. So it's a responsibility for both of them. Okay. If a child is trained by only the father, there will be a gap. Or vice versa. If a child is trained by only the mother. So that's why it's a collective effort to ensure that proper values are instilled.
So what about the role of the is there a role, the parents, like is there how a marriage will end up and you say, where is the parents of this couple? I've seen in fact a lot of occasions where you go out in the night in an adult setting and you see young couple come to that same adult setting with their children. The father is smoking and drinking, the mother is drinking and gisting with a friend. The children are running around. I've seen people come with their children to clubs. So in this aspect now where the father is already gone, the mother is gone, can one say I blame the parents of this couple? Is it possible? Is there a role, or is it that as soon as marriage happens, the influence of the parents disappears? Is there a role of the parents?
Yes, they really have a role. Families have values, and some of these values are passed from generation to generation. So the grandparents have a role to play in guiding their children, who are now young parents, to ensure that they maintain the positive values that are expected of them. That's why, for instance, in the Igbo setting, almost every family, they have family meetings. You understand? Most families have family meetings, maybe yearly meetings. And they will be asking, how are you guys doing? I heard you did something like this. We don't do that in our family. In our family, we don't do polygamy. Or in our family, we don't do divorce. If you have any issues with your spouse, we can sort it out here. Or you have any issues where you are working, you can tell us, we can advise you on how best to handle it. So I think they have a role to play.
And that is where my next question comes. Marriages happen. When they happen, values are carried from the two different families. And most times when the man comes with his maybe preferences that he learned from his family, and the woman comes with the preferences or family values he learned from his or her own family, there is usually a clash. A clash of, it can happen in food, and then going to other things that you even interest yourself in, and in this kind of moral upbringing. Now, what I want to ask is, how can parents or the couple involved manage such disagreements in value system that they want to impact on their children? Let me take, for example, you cited an instance, a family where someone is coming from a family where divorce is not an option. Another person is coming from a family where divorce is an option if you leave it alive, if it will make you to leave the marriage alive. So how do you meet up with, how can couple that find themselves in this kind of situation have an agreeing point or agree on what to impact on their kids?
Yes, it's a very important question. And these, before marriage happens, the parties must get to know the values of each other. You must really take time to investigate where the other person is coming from. And then at that point, before marriage is important, you need to agree on how your own values is going to be. And where you don't have a meeting point, there's no need going into that marriage. Yes, if you have divergent views that you cannot, marry together. You cannot say, okay, even though I'm coming from this background, but I take this stand.
Yes.
Something like that. In fact, I met someone not just this week. He said he is divorced. He said one day the wife sent him a message. He was on a journey and said she's gone. So she left with everything. He said the wife's family, almost everyone in her family is divorced. Almost everyone. So, but when they were having their courtship, she said, even though this is the issue, but she has made up her mind that she will not be divorced. She will stay with her husband. But at the end of the day, it still happened.
Yes.
You understand? So, it just that kind of thing. When you see such histories that, has been repeating, you should be careful in your choice of who to marry. If you see something, if we still do it, in Igbo land, they say Ibanjo, Ijo Ese, all those kind of stuff. They need to find out, are there values in this family that we cannot cope with? If there are no such values, then, if there are such values you can't cope with, then you don't have to go into that marriage, except, there is a very strong agreement to deviate from the other.
And then I also want to ask another follow-up question to that, where it brings in spirituality. You're a pastor.
Yes.
And I want to bring two angles. Yes. The fact that some people will tell you, I love him no matter where he's coming from. I don't care about his background and all those. And then for others who will say, we have the same belief, maybe biblical belief or religious belief, not just Christians, others. And they feel that, see, those histories our values, although negative, we will surmount them. How do you balance such disagreements or at that point?
Yes, I would like to say this. No matter the negative history of someone, God can change it. There is nothing that God cannot change if the person is willing to submit to God and to ask God for help.
Okay.
Yes, there is no situation. There are testimonies of even people who were AS, but when they gave birth, they didn't have SS children. There are such testimonies, in the church. So there is nothing that some people may come from, no matter, and again, in a family, no matter how bad everyone may be, or negative things, there must be someone in that family that will not be influenced by the negative occurrences in that family. That's how it is. So, but it takes a total dependency on God, faith in God, so that God can break every yoke in any family. Yes, it does. It is very, very possible, and those testimonies abound of the wonders of God in breaking certain negative family norms.
All right, but if someone finds themselves in that kind of situation and come to you for counseling, what are the things you are going to tell them?
Well, the first thing is, since you have discovered that there are some negative values in that family, can you cope with it? One. Two, can you trust God to change those? If you say you can cope with it, then I will ask you, can you trust God? Is your faith strong enough, to believe God to change those negative values? And if you agree, life is by choice. You understand? You cannot tell somebody who wants to who has made up his mind on something not to. You can only advise him, oh please, I don't think that this will be the best for you. But if it is your choice, why not? It's your choice.
Okay, so I would like to know, at what point can a family say, no, we are not part of, we're not part of that? Because most times you notice that in as much as they try to believe that, see, how do I put it? In marriage, I'm marrying this person. In this relationship, it is me and this person. Whenever you do something wrong as an individual, it is traced back to your family. But then, at what point can a couple say, see, I don't want to be part of that family again? A lot of times we'll hear stories of where they will say, this family were united until this one got married. The wife, or this family was united until this one's husband came in. And then, the division comes in. A lot of times, marriages bring division into big family. And a lot of times, marriages bring in foreign values that does not exist in the family.
Oh, yes.
You get? I've seen a marriage where the man dresses up because it took time for him to have a child. The only child was a daughter. So he dresses up the girl like a boy. And the girl grew up like that, you get? It wasn't okay with the girl's family that we don't have a tomboy. It is not in us to be going this way. But then her husband is okay with it. So at what point now can the girls, because as the girl was growing up, they noticed that this girl don't like men. She was deviating. And the father saw nothing wrong with it. So at what point can the girl's family say, no, we're not part of that? Because wherever the granddaughter goes to, they'll say, on wanda, you get, on wanda benda. At what point is it okay for a family to disown their own and say, no, we're not part of that? And at what point is it okay for a couple to say, no, we want to break ourselves from that extended family value? At what point is it really okay, or you're supposed to be managing? And I'm trying to say, if you notice that this family has faults, you just be looking for a way to coexist and manage. Or is there a point it will get you say, let me break out?
Sure. If you notice some negative values, negative occurrences from maybe your spouse, family or something, you can work yourself out of it. You are not bound by any negative norm or value or system. You are not. Whatever you're not comfortable with, you can actually say, not by saying you're not marrying again, but you can gradually change that situation and fashion out the best way and the best value for your family. It can be done. People influence people. That is the truth. Marriage brings about influence, and negative things will like to take the upper hand. But if you insist and you are committed to positive values, you'll be able to use your positive values to influence the negative values out of your family. Yes, it's very important. People do that. Many families, and one of the reasons for marriage is to bring in positive influence into your life and your family, and even your extended family. Yes, that's one of the purposes of marriage. It's not just for you to remain the way you have been. There must be a deviation. There must be an improvement. There must be a change that the person is coming into your life to make. And you are also going to make in the person's life. That's how it is. And for two people who are in love, you can sit down and look at some of these things and agree on it, that we may not go this way, but we'll go this way.
But what if in a situation whereby you not agreeing with the larger family value is bringing, it may be like bringing down your reputation, they treat you like an outcast? It happens where they are like, it's this woman, it's because of this woman, or since you got married to that, like when you come in, you notice that they exclude you. You notice like you feel like an outsider in your family. Is it okay for you to still say no? I still say no, meanwhile you're passing through all those things.
Well, if your own values are superior to theirs, why not? You stand on your ground and ensure that, because time will tell.
Yes.
You understand? With time, when they begin to see the positive impact of your stand, they will join you. That's the truth. They will see reasons with you. There are certain things that it's with time that people get to understand. So if you have weighed the options and you know that what you're doing is better than what they want you to do, okay, you just give it time and everybody will agree with you.
All right, finally from me, the question I would just want to ask is, the parents have settled themselves, they've agreed, but Eman and the Bayan are saying, now, most times you see parents whose lifestyles outside are perfect.
Yeah.
Then you see their kids on another path in life. It seems as if there are failures in impacting that level of principled life they have on their kids.
Yes.
Maybe such person is watching us and is feeling, how do I do this? Is there a way I can ensure that these values I hold there, I pass them to my kids? What is the person going to do?
Oh yes, the issue here is this. Of course, children are bound to learn from their parents because they keep watching you, observing what you do, picking things from you, okay? But whereby you see that some of those values that you hold dear and you exhibit they are not emulating them, then there must be a problem. Either you are not committed to imparting those values to them. Some parents are too busy for children, for child upbringing. They are just too busy. They don't have time. The children don't get to see them even most times. So you find out that outsiders will now be influencing those children and imparting in them some of the values that you may not like. So that's how it is. So the parents have to create time for the children to be able to impart those values. Let them be with you. Make time to be with them. Let them watch you and see what you do, and take time to supervise what they do, and look at them and advise them and guide them. And it's very, very important. So I think in that regard, the parents have to create more time to mentor the children.
So what if you feel okay, so we don't really have time. Okay, so in summary, I'd like you to advise parents, especially parents who feel I've actually lost this child. Because a lot of things are happening in the society today are being done by people, youths, young people that came from different families. And then the parents will be watching and say, I'm already tired. What's your advice to such families? Especially families of people who already know the kind of things their children are doing and they seem helpless. What can they do at that point?
Thank you very much. It's a very important question that I know many people will be asking. What can we do? This child has already learned a lot of negative things. How can we get this child back to the positive values that he or she should have? Number one is pray for that child. Like I said before, there is nothing that God cannot do. The heart of people are in the hands of God. God can restore any child that has gone astray. Even the prodigal son was restored back to the family, and the father received him back. So it's very important that we take time to pray for our children, wherever they are, that God will guide them and help them to abide by the positive values that we expect from them. Now, two is for you to, it's not by shouting, it's not by beating. Sometimes that you correct a child, you take time to talk sense into that child, presenting the pros and cons, the advantages and the disadvantages of a particular habit. And it is very important. I know sometimes they may not change immediately, but that seed of advice you sowed in their heart will continue to guide them, will remain in their heart until they totally change. It's very important. So take time to talk to them. Another thing you can do is to connect them with good people that can influence them positively. People who have overcome such challenges. People who have, better, reports and testimonies. It's very important. And they will be influenced by it. And God will help them. They will come out of whatever negative habits they may have gotten themselves into. So I think these are some of the ways. And another thing about, influencing children is for you to show them love. Let them know that you really care. Let them know that you love them and that you want the best for them. And that what you're telling them or what you want them to do will bring the best to them. And it's very, very important. When they see that genuineness in you, I believe that they will change.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor Kelechi Oboti. It's always a wonderful time speaking with you on the Weekend Show. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
It's my pleasure.
And then now we'll move over to the breakfast news desk for the breakfast news this morning. We'll be back.